The termination letter trembled in Diana Chen's hands. 3 years of 12-hour days, skipped lunches, weekend work. Gone. The fluorescent lights of Morrison Marketing buzzed overhead like vultures circling prey. Budget cuts, her manager had said, not meeting her eyes. Diana's fingers went numb as she packed her desk into a cardboard box. A coffee-stained mousepad, a wilted succulent, the participation trophy from last year's team-building retreat. Her entire professional life fit into 12 inches of corrugated cardboard. Jessica from the neighboring cubicle appeared, her eyes red. "This is so unfair. You're the hardest worker here." Diana forced her lips into something resembling a smile. Things happen for a reason, right? But riding the subway home to Queens, watching her reflection flicker in the dark windows, Diana knew nothing about this made sense. Rent was due in 2 weeks. Her mother's medical bills were stacked on the kitchen counter like a house of cards ready to collapse. Her bank account balance, $247. At 24, she'd thought she had it figured out. College degree, entry-level job, slow climb up the ladder. Now the ladder had been kicked out from under her, and she was falling. Her phone buzzed. Mom's name lit up the screen. "How was work today, sweetheart?" Diana's thumb hovered over the keyboard. She couldn't do it. Couldn't tell Alina Chen, who'd worked double shifts as a nurse for 18 years to put her through school, that her daughter was unemployed. Worthless. A failure. Great. Busy day. "Love you," she sent the text and hated herself for it. That night, scrolling through social media in her cramped bedroom, Diana's heart stopped. Sebastian Torres smiled from her phone screen. His arm was wrapped around a woman who looked like she'd stepped out of a fashion magazine. Tall, blonde, draped in diamonds that caught the camera flash like captured stars. The caption read, "She said yes. Victoria Sterling, you've made me the happiest man alive." Diana stared at the engagement ring. It probably cost more than her mother's medical debt, more than 2 years of her salary, more than Diana would ever be worth. She remembered Sebastian from before. Before the money, before his family's tech company went public and launched them into the stratosphere. They'd been neighbors in Queens. He'd shared his lunch money when her mom worked doubles. They'd done homework together on her apartment's fire escape, dreaming about futures that seemed equally impossible. 6 months ago, they'd run into each other at a coffee shop near Columbia. He'd seemed so normal, so unchanged. They'd talked for 3 hours about his startup, her marketing dreams, the old neighborhood. Now he was marrying someone from a different universe. Diana set her phone face down and stared at her ceiling, where water stains bloomed like bruises. The next morning, her phone rang from an unknown number. "Miss Chen? This is Margaret Preston from Preston & Associates." Diana sat up so fast her head spun. Preston & Associates, one of the top marketing firms in Manhattan. She'd sent them her resume 6 months ago and never heard back. "We've reviewed your portfolio and we're very impressed. We have an immediate opening for a senior marketing coordinator. The salary is $95,000 annually." Diana nearly dropped her phone. "Triple her old salary, enough to pay rent, the medical bills, maybe even save something." "I'm very interested," she managed. "Wonderful. However, I should mention this role requires working with high-profile clients who expect sophisticated professionals with significant life experience. The interview is tomorrow at 2 p.m. Can you make it?" "Yes, absolutely." After hanging up, Diana's elation curdled into panic. Sophisticated. Life experience. She was a 24-year-old virgin who lived with her mother. Her idea of fine dining was the neighborhood Chinese restaurant that gave extra fortune cookies. Her wardrobe came from Target clearance racks. How could she possibly convince them she belonged in their world? Then she looked at her phone. At Sebastian's engagement photo. He knew that world. He'd become that world. And once upon a time, he'd told her he'd always be there if she needed anything. Diana stood outside Sebastian's building in Tribeca at 8 p.m., her palms sweating despite the October chill. The doorman looked at her like she was selling something. "I'm here to see Sebastian Torres." The doorman's eyebrow lifted. "Is he expecting you?" "It's a surprise." After a painfully long phone call, the doorman gestured to the elevator. "Penthouse." Diana's reflection stared back at her from the polished steel walls as she rose through the building. Cheap jacket, scuffed shoes, hair that needed a cut she couldn't afford. The elevator doors opened. Sebastian stood in the doorway of his apartment, backlit by floor-to-ceiling windows that framed the glittering Manhattan skyline. He wore a white button-down, sleeves rolled to his elbows, revealing forearms that definitely hadn't existed when they were 16. His eyes widened. "Diana?" Her name and his voice still sounded like home. "Hi, Seb." His face broke into a smile that made her forget, just for a second, about the engagement ring and the blonde woman and the impossible distance between their lives. "This is unexpected." He stepped aside. "Come in, please." Diana walked into an apartment that looked like it belonged in a magazine. Modern furniture, abstract art, windows that turned the city into a living painting. She felt like she was standing in a museum, and she was the only thing that didn't belong. Sebastian closed the door behind her. "Can I get you something? Water? Wine?" Diana turned to face him, saw the boy she'd known in the man he'd become. Saw the warmth in his eyes that hadn't changed, even if everything else had. "I need your help," she said, and she watched something shift in his expression. Something that looked like relief. "Anything," Sebastian said softly. "Diana, I'd do anything for you." That's when Diana realized she might have made a terrible mistake coming here. Because the way he was looking at her had nothing to do with friendship, and everything to do with the kind of hunger that destroys lives. Sebastian poured 2 glasses of wine that probably cost more than Diana's monthly grocery budget. His hands were steady. Hers were not. "So," he said, settling onto the leather sofa across from her. "What kind of help?" Diana took a breath. The skyline glittered behind him like a promise she'd never believed in. "I have an interview tomorrow. Preston and Associates. Senior marketing coordinator." His eyebrows lifted. "That's incredible. Margaret Preston doesn't interview just anyone. She said they need someone sophisticated, someone with life experience." Diana's voice cracked. "Seb, I got fired yesterday. I have $200 to my name. My mom's medical bills are drowning us. I live in a bedroom the size of your closet. I don't know what sophisticated looks like." Sebastian leaned forward, elbows on his knees. The city lights cast shadows across his face. "What are you asking me? Teach me." The words tumbled out desperate and raw. "I have one night to learn how to be someone they'd hire. How to talk. How to act. How to pretend I belong in rooms like this." He was quiet for a long moment. Then he set down his wine glass. "You already belong, Diana. You're brilliant." Brilliant doesn't pay rent. Something flickered in his eyes. Pain, maybe, or recognition. "You're getting married," Diana said suddenly. "Congratulations." "She's beautiful." "Thank you." His voice was flat, empty. "Do you love her?" The question hung in the air between them like smoke. Sebastian stood and walked to the window. His reflection ghosted against the glass. "Victoria and I understand each other. Our families, our businesses, they fit together. It makes sense." "That's not what I asked." He turned. The Sebastian she'd known as a kid would have lied to make her feel better. This Sebastian, the one in the $5,000 shirt, met her eyes. "No," he said quietly. "I don't love her. I love someone else. Someone I can't have." Diana's heart stopped. "Seb, I'll help you." He crossed back to her, and suddenly he was too close. She could smell his cologne. Something dark and expensive. "But I want something in return." Her breath caught. "What?" "Come with me to the Sterling Foundation Gala on Friday. As my date. You're engaged. Victoria's. In London for 2 weeks. Business. The gala is a networking thing. Donors. Investors. I need someone there who actually gives a damn about something. Other than stock portfolios and vacation homes. What about your fiancé? Victoria won't care. She's probably at a gala right now with someone from her Oxford social circle." His jaw tightened. "Our relationship is an arrangement. A merger. Not a marriage." Diana should have said no. Should have walked out. Should have recognized the danger in his eyes. Instead, she said, "Okay." Sebastian smiled. It was the saddest thing she'd ever seen. "Then let's get started." The next 3 hours were a crash course in a world Diana had only seen in movies. Sebastian taught her which fork to use for salad, how to hold a wine glass by the stem, how to make small talk that sounded engaged without revealing anything real. "Posture," he said, standing behind her. His hands settled on her shoulders, straightening her spine. Heat radiated through her cheap sweater. "You're not apologizing for taking up space. You're commanding it." Diana tried to focus on his words instead of his touch. "When someone asks what you do, Don't downplay it. Don't say just marketing. Say, I specialize in brand transformation for emerging companies. Make them lean in. He circled her like a professor examining a student. But there was nothing academic in his gaze. And eye contact. People trust what they can see. He stopped in front of her. Look at me. Diana lifted her eyes to his. They were standing too close. She could see gold flecks in his brown eyes. Could count his heartbeat in the pulse at his throat. Like this, he whispered. Like you know exactly what you want. And you're not afraid to take it. The air between them turned electric. Sebastian's hand came up, almost touching her face. His fingers stopped an inch from her cheek. You're going to be incredible tomorrow, he said. They won't know what hit them. Diana's phone buzzed in her purse, shattering the moment. She fumbled for it. A text from her mom, coming home late, another double shift. There's leftover rice in the fridge. Love you, sweetheart. The guilt crashed over her like a wave. I should go, Diana said. Thank you. For everything. Sebastian walked her to the elevator. As the doors began to close, he caught them. Diana, that person I mentioned, the one I can't have. She looked at him. It's always been you. The doors closed on his words. Diana rode down 42 floors with her, heart hammering so hard she thought it might crack her ribs the next day. She walked into Preston and Associates in her best outfit, a black dress she'd bought at a consignment shop, and the pearls her grandmother had left her. She channeled everything Sebastian had taught her. Margaret Preston was a woman in her 50s with silver hair and a handshake like a vice. Tell me about yourself, Miss Chen. Diana sat straighter. Met her eyes. I specialize in brand transformation for emerging companies. I identify the emotional core of a product and build narratives that make consumers feel something real. Margaret's lips curved into something almost like a smile. The interview lasted 45 minutes. Diana talked about campaigns she'd run, strategies she'd developed, the psychology of consumer behavior. She didn't apologize once. When she left the building, her phone rang before she'd made it to the subway. Miss Chen? Margaret Preston. When can you start? Diana started Monday, Friday night. She stood in front of her bathroom mirror, in a dress Sebastian had sent over. Midnight blue silk that hugged her body like water, shoes that probably cost more than her first car, a necklace that caught the light and shattered it into rainbows. She looked like someone else. Someone who belonged in penthouse, apartments and charity galas, someone who could stand next to Sebastian Torres and not look like a fraud. The knock on her door made her heart jump. Sebastian stood in her hallway in a tuxedo that should have been illegal. His eyes went wide when he saw her. Diana, he breathed. You're stunning. She felt stunning and terrified. Ready? He asked, offering his arm. She took it. In the car, Diana's hands wouldn't stop shaking. What if someone asks how we met? Tell them the truth. We grew up together in Queens. We're old friends. What if they ask about Victoria? Sebastian's jaw tightened. They won't. Everyone already knows she's in London. But when they arrived at the Plaza Hotel and stepped into a ballroom dripping with crystal chandeliers and champagne fountains, Diana realized Sebastian had lied, because standing by the bar, in a red dress that probably cost more than Diana's new annual salary, was Victoria Sterling, and she was staring straight at them with murder in her eyes. Sebastian's hand tightened on Diana's arm. His face went pale beneath the chandelier light. You said she was in London, Diana whispered. She was supposed to be. Victoria Sterling glided toward them like a shark through water. Up close, she was even more devastating. Cheekbones sharp enough to cut glass, ice blue eyes that missed nothing. Sebastian, darling. Her voice was crystalline, cold. I caught an early flight. Wanted to surprise you. She turned to Diana, extended a hand tipped with perfect crimson nails. And who's this? Diana Chen, Sebastian said quickly. An old friend. We grew up together in Queens. Queens. Victoria's smile didn't reach her eyes. How charming. She slipped her arm through Sebastian's, claiming him. The engagement ring on her finger caught the light and threw it back like a weapon. Sebastian's told me so little about his childhood. You'll have to share stories. Victoria's grip on his arm tightened. I'm sure they're fascinating. For the next 2 hours, Diana watched Victoria work. She introduced Sebastian to investors, philanthropists, Old money families with names that appeared on hospital wings and museum galleries. She laughed at their jokes, remembered their children's names, played the perfect fiancé with the precision of a surgeon, and she never let Sebastian more than 3 feet from her side. Diana stood alone by a marble column, nursing champagne she couldn't taste, watching the man she'd loved since childhood belong to someone else. "You're the girl from Queens." Diana turned. A man in his 60s stood beside her. Silver hair, kind eyes, a face she recognized from Forbes covers. "Robert Sterling," he said, offering his hand. "Victoria's father." Diana's stomach dropped. "Mr. Sterling, it's an honor. Sebastian speaks highly of you. Says you just landed a position at Preston and Associates. Margaret doesn't hire amateurs." "I got lucky. Margaret Preston doesn't believe in luck." He studied her with the same intensity his daughter possessed. "She believes in talent. What's your background?" They talked for 20 minutes. About marketing, about the psychology of consumer behavior, about the campaigns she wanted to build, and the risks she wanted to take. Robert laughed. Actually laughed. "You know what? I have a project, a rebranding for one of my boutique hotel chains. Young, sophisticated, experiential. I'd like you to pitch me something." Diana's heart stopped. "Sir, I just started at Preston and Associates on Monday. I couldn't possibly. Talk to Margaret. Tell her Robert Sterling requested you personally. If your pitch is half as good as this conversation, you'll have the contract." He handed her his card. Real gold leaf embossing. "One more thing," he said, his voice dropping. "My daughter is a brilliant woman. But she's my daughter. I know her better than anyone." Diana waited. "That marriage she's planned with Sebastian? It's a business transaction. She doesn't love him, and he doesn't love her, but Victoria doesn't take kindly to competition." "I'm not competition." Robert Sterling smiled sadly. "My dear, from the moment you walked in tonight, you've been the only person Sebastian's really looked at." Victoria noticed. "Trust me," she noticed. He walked away. Diana's hands trembled around her champagne glass. Across the ballroom, Sebastian finally broke away from Victoria. He crossed to Diana like a man drowning, reaching for air. "I'm so sorry. I didn't know she'd be here. I swear, it's fine. It's not fine. This whole night has been torture. Sebastian." Diana met his eyes. "Your father-in-law-to-be just offered me the contract of a lifetime. I should thank you. Whatever this was, it worked." His face fell. "Is that what you think this is? Some networking stunt? Isn't it?" "No." He stepped closer. Desperation bled through his voice. "Diana, I brought you here because I'm a selfish bastard who wanted one night with you before I signed my life away to a woman I don't love. One night where I could pretend that the last 10 years didn't happen, that I didn't choose money over everything that mattered. The ballroom felt like it was spinning. You're engaged. I know. She's inside right now, playing the perfect fiancé while you're out here telling me you love me." "I know. Then what are you asking me, Seb? What do you want?" His hand came up and cupped her face. His thumb traced her cheekbone. "Run away with me." Diana laughed. It came out broken. "You're not serious. I've never been more serious in my life. We could leave. Tonight, I have money. We could go anywhere. Start over. You'd throw everything away? Your business? Your family's company? Victoria and her father's connections? For you?" "Yes." The word hung between them like a grenade with the pin pulled. Diana stepped back. His hand fell. "No. Diana, you don't love me, Sebastian. You love the idea of me. The girl from Queens who reminds you of who you used to be, before the money, before the penthouses and the galas and the fiancés who look good in photographs." Tears burned her eyes. "I'm not your escape plan. I'm not your rebellion against the life you chose. I worked too hard to get here, to build something. I won't let you use me to feel better about the choices you made. That's not what this is." "Then what is it?" "Because from where I'm standing, this looks like a rich man having a crisis and the poor girl he used to know paying the price." Sebastian flinched like she'd slapped him. "Diana." "Miss Chen?" They both turned. Victoria stood in the doorway, backlit by the ballroom's golden light. Her face was perfectly composed, but her eyes were murderous. "I believe you left your wrap inside. I wanted to return it before you left. It was a dismissal, a command disguised as courtesy." Diana took the wrap from Victoria's outstretched hand. Their fingers touched for a fraction of a second. Victoria's skin was ice. "Thank you for a lovely evening," Diana said. She walked away without looking back at Sebastian. She made it to the street before the tears came. The November wind cut through her borrowed dress. She stood on Fifth Avenue in shoes that hurt and a life that felt like someone else's, crying for a man she'd never really had and a future she'd been stupid enough to imagine. Her phone buzzed, a text from an unknown number. "You're a smart girl. Diana. Here's some free advice. Sebastian Torres is mine. He's always been mine. This little infatuation he has with his past, it's a phase. But if you ever come near him again, I will destroy you. I'll call Robert and tell him you've been harassing his future son-in-law. I'll call Margaret Preston and tell her you used her company name to seduce clients. I'll make sure you never work in this city again. Stay away from my fiancé. This is your only warning." Diana stared at the message until the words blurred. She should have been terrified. Instead, she was furious. She walked 30 blocks back to Queens in shoes that turned her feet bloody. She let herself into her apartment, kissed her sleeping mother on the forehead, sat on her fire escape in the borrowed dress, and watched the sun come up over a city that chewed people like her up and spit them out. Monday morning, she walked into Preston and Associates with her shoulders back and her head high. She had a hotel chain to rebrand. She had a career to build. She had a life to create that belonged to no one but herself, and she absolutely, categorically, was not going to think about Sebastian Torres ever again. Her phone buzzed at noon. A text from Sebastian. I broke it off with Victoria. I told her everything. Can we talk? Diana stared at the message. Then she blocked his number. But that night, when she came home from her first full day of work, her mother was waiting in the kitchen with an expression Diana had never seen before. "Sweetheart," Alina said quietly, "we need to talk about the medical bills." Diana's stomach dropped. What about them? Someone paid them. All of them. Every single one. The hospital called today. They're gone. What? Who? Her mother handed her an envelope. Inside was a cashier's check for $50,000. And a note in handwriting Diana would have recognized anywhere. "I know you'll refuse this. I know you'll try to give it back. But your mother spent 18 years putting you first. Let me do this one thing. Not because I expect anything. Not because I want you to forgive me. But because even if you hate me, Diana, I love you. And I always will." As Diana's hands shook. "Who is S?" her mother asked. Diana looked at the check. At the zeros that represented her mother's freedom from debt. At the escape from the crushing weight they'd carried for years. "No one," she whispered. "Just someone I used to know. But that night..." Lying in bed, Diana cried into her pillow. Because Sebastian Torres had just made himself impossible to forget. 3 weeks passed. Diana threw herself into the Sterling hotels, rebrand with the desperation of someone running from a fire. She worked 16-hour days, slept 4 hours a night, turned her pain into presentations that made Robert Sterling lean forward in his leather chair and nod. "This," he said, tapping the mock-up for the campaign. "This is exactly what I wanted. You understand luxury, real luxury, not the kind you buy, the kind you feel." Margaret Preston sat beside him, arms crossed, assessing. "She's good," Margaret said. "I told you." "She's better than good." Robert looked at Diana. "I want you on retainer. All my properties. Full creative control." Diana's heart stopped. "Sir, name your price." She named a number she'd dreamed about. He doubled it. "Done. Contract goes through your firm, of course. Margaret, we'll handle the details." After they left, Margaret turned to Diana with something almost like pride. "You've made your career in 3 weeks. Most people spend years trying to get where you just landed. How does it feel?" Diana smiled. It felt hollow. Amazing. That night, she came home to find her mother in the kitchen, baking. The apartment smelled like the honey cakes from Diana's childhood. "What's the occasion?" Diana asked. Alina turned. Her eyes were bright, healthy. The dark circles that had lived under them for years were gone. "I got the test results back today. I'm in remission, sweetheart. The treatment worked." Diana dropped her bag and hugged her mother so hard they both shook. "Mom. Oh my God. Mom." I know, baby." They stood in the kitchen, holding each other, crying tears that tasted like relief. We're okay, Alina whispered. We're actually going to be okay. Diana thought about the check, about Sebastian, about the price of freedom. Her mother pulled back, studying her face. That money that came, you know who sent it? It wasn't a question. Yes. Someone you care about. Someone I used to care about. Alina touched Diana's cheek. Sweetheart, when someone gives you everything and asks for nothing, that's not nothing. That's everything. Diana's phone buzzed. She'd unblocked Sebastian's number 2 weeks ago, though she hadn't replied to any of his messages. This one said, "Please, I need to see you just once. Then I'll leave you alone if that's what you want." Diana stared at the text. "Go," her mother said softly. "Whatever it is you're running from, it'll chase you forever if you don't face it." An hour later, Diana stood outside Sebastian's building again. The doorman recognized her this time, waved her through without question. She rode the elevator up, her heart climbing faster than the floors. Sebastian opened the door before she could knock. He looked terrible, beautiful and terrible. His hair was longer, unstyled. Dark circles shadowed his eyes. He wore sweatpants and a t-shirt that hung loose on a frame that had lost weight. Diana. Her name on his lips sounded like a prayer. "You look awful," she said. He laughed. It came out broken. "Thanks. Come in." The apartment was a mess. Papers everywhere. Empty coffee cups. The city view was the same, but everything else felt different. Smaller. Sadder. "I broke up with Victoria," Sebastian said, closing the door. "The engagement's off, officially. Her father knows. My family knows. The investors know. Everyone knows. I heard." She had. Margaret Preston had mentioned it in passing. "I'm sorry. I'm not." He turned to face her. "Diana, I've spent 3 weeks trying to figure out how to fix this. How to prove to you that what I feel is real. That it's not about nostalgia or rebellion or trying to reclaim some past that doesn't exist anymore. Sebastian, let me finish. Please." He took a shaky breath. "When I was 12, you defended me against Marcus Williams and his friends when they said I'd never amount to anything because my dad drove a cab. You split your lip and didn't cry. You told me that someday I'd prove them all wrong." Diana remembered. Marcus Williams had been a monster. "When I was 16, Sebastian continued, and my mom got sick, you brought us dinner every night for 2 months. You used your birthday money to buy her flowers. You sat with her when she was scared, and my dad was working doubles and I was too terrified. To be in that room, tears burned Diana's eyes. When I was 19 and my dad's company took off and we moved to Manhattan, you were the only person from the old neighborhood who called to congratulate me instead of asking for money. You were happy for me, genuinely happy." He stepped closer. "I've been in love with you since I was 15 years old, Diana Chen. Every woman I've dated, I've compared to you. Every choice I've made, I've wondered what you'd think. And when I saw you in my apartment 3 weeks ago, looking at me like I was still the kid from Queens and not the person I'd become, something inside me woke up. Something I'd buried for 10 years. Stop, Diana whispered. I can't. Because if I don't say this now, I never will. His voice cracked. I know I don't deserve you. I know I chose wrong 100 times. I picked money over meaning, status over substance. I built a life that looks incredible from the outside and feels empty from the inside. But Diana, you're the first real thing I've felt in a decade, and I'm terrified that if I let you walk away, I'll spend the rest of my life wondering what if. Diana's tears fell freely now. What are you asking me? I'm asking you to take a chance on me. I'm asking you to let me prove that this isn't a fantasy or a midlife crisis at 28. I'm asking you to believe that the boy who shared his lunch money with you is the same man standing in front of you now, just older and stupider, and desperately in love with you. Diana closed her eyes. Behind her eyelids, she saw 2 paths. One was safe, solid, her career, her independence, the life she'd fought to build. The other was chaos, risk. Sebastian, with his broken engagement and his uncertain future and his eyes that looked at her like she was the only thing that mattered. I got a job offer in London, she heard herself say. Robert Sterling wants to expand internationally. He asked if I'd head the UK division, double my current salary. My own team, full creative control. Sebastian's face went pale. Oh, I haven't given him an answer yet. When do you need to decide? Monday. Silence stretched between them like a gulf. Take it, Sebastian said finally. Diana, take the job. Don't throw away your career for me. I won't be the reason you lose what you've worked for. She opened her eyes. Looked at him. What if I want to be stupid? She asked. What if I want to take a risk on someone who's probably going to break my heart? His breath caught. Diana, what if the safe choice is the wrong choice? He crossed to her in 2 steps, cupped her face in his hands. I would spend every single day for the rest of my life making sure you never regretted choosing me, he whispered. I swear to God, Diana, I would move mountains. I'd learn to be worthy of you. She stood on her toes and kissed him. It was soft at first. Tentative. Then he pulled her closer, and she wrapped her arms around his neck, and the kiss turned desperate. Hungry. 10 years of want and pain and longing compressed into one perfect moment. When they broke apart, both gasping, Sebastian rested his forehead against hers. Stay, he breathed. Please stay. Diana nodded against him. Okay. I'll stay. I'll turn down London. I'll stay here. With you. Sebastian kissed her again, and they stumbled toward his bedroom, shedding clothes and inhibitions, and all the walls they'd built to keep each other out. That night, Diana Chen gave herself to the boy she'd loved since childhood, and it was tender and overwhelming and everything she'd imagined. Afterward, they lay tangled in his sheets, the city lights painting patterns on the ceiling. I love you, Sebastian whispered against her hair. I've always loved you. I love you too, Diana said. And for the first time in weeks, she felt like she could breathe. She fell asleep in his arms, believing in fairy tales. She woke at 3 a.m. to voices, angry voices. Diana sat up, clutching the sheet to her chest. Sebastian was gone. She could hear him in the living room, his voice low and urgent. You need to leave. Now. Not until you hear what I have to say. Victoria's voice, sharp as broken glass. Diana's blood turned to ice. She pulled on Sebastian's t-shirt and crept to the bedroom door. Through the crack, she could see them. Victoria stood by the window in a black coat, her hair perfect despite the hour. Sebastian stood between her and the bedroom, arms crossed. There's nothing left to say, Sebastian said. We're done. I made that clear. You made a mistake clear. Victoria's smile was poisonous, and I'm here to help you fix it. Victoria, your father called me tonight. Did you know that? He's furious. The Sterling deal, the international expansion, all of it was contingent on our marriage. Robert was investing in you because you were going to be family. Now? She laughed. Now he's pulling out. Every investor who came in because of Sterling connections, gone. Your company's about to lose 40% of its funding. Sebastian's face went white. You're lying. Call him. Ask him yourself. Victoria stepped closer. Or better yet, fix this. Come back to me. Marry me. Save your family's company. Save everything your father built. No. Victoria's voice turned venomous. You'd throw it all away for a girl you haven't seen in 10 years? A girl who grew up in Queens and works in marketing? Sebastian, be realistic. What future do you have with her? You'll resent her in 6 months when your company collapses. When your father loses everything he worked for. When your family name means nothing. Diana's hands shook against the door frame. Get out, Sebastian said quietly. Nanyo, I'm giving you 24 hours to come to your senses. After that, I'm not coming back, and neither is Robert's money. Victoria walked to the door, then paused. Oh, and Sebastian? That girl in your bedroom? I had her investigated. Did you know her mother's medical bills were paid? By you, obviously. Sweet, romantic, also illegal. Sebastian froze. What? Tax fraud. Unreported gifts over a certain amount require documentation. IRS forms. You didn't file them, which means you committed a federal crime. And if anyone were to report it, say, an anonymous tip, well, Diana Chen would be implicated too. After all, she accepted the money. Benefited from it. You wouldn't. Victoria smiled. Try me. 24 hours, Sebastian. Choose wisely. She left. The apartment fell silent. Diana pushed open the bedroom door. Sebastian turned. His face was devastated. How much of that did you hear? All of it. He crossed to her, reaching for her hands. She let him take them. I'm going to fix this. The IRS thing? It's probably a bluff. And the investors? I'll find new ones. I'll figure it out. Your father, Diana said quietly. His company? I'll handle it. How? Sebastian, how are you going to handle losing 40% of your funding? How are you going to save your family's business? He had no answer. Diana pulled her hands away. You have to marry her. No. Diana, no. If you don't, your family loses everything. Your father loses everything. And my mother and I, we could go to prison for tax fraud. That's not going to happen. I won't let it. You can't control this. Diana's voice broke. Sebastian, I can't be the reason your life falls apart. I can't be the reason your father loses his company. I can't risk my mother going to prison. So what are you saying? Tears streamed down her face. I'm saying you need to marry Victoria. Fix the investor situation. Protect your family. And I need to take the London job and get as far away from this as possible. No. Sebastian grabbed her shoulders. No, Diana, we'll figure this out. Together. I'm not losing you again. You never had me, she whispered. Not really. We were always living in a fantasy. You're from one world. I'm from another. And Victoria was right. In 6 months, you'd resent me for what you gave up, and I'd hate myself for letting you. That's not true, isn't it? She looked up at him. Be honest. Can you really walk away from everything? Your father's legacy? Your family's future for me? His silence was her answer. Diana stepped back, picked up her dress from the floor, started getting dressed. What are you doing? Leaving. Diana, please. Don't do this. She pulled on her shoes. Her hands were shaking so badly she could barely manage the buckles. I love you, she said, not looking at him. I've loved you since I was 13 years old, but love isn't enough. Not for this. Diana, she walked to the door, opened it, turned back one last time. Sebastian stood in the middle of his perfect apartment with tears on his face and heartbreak in his eyes. Marry her, Diana said. Save your family. Live the life you were meant to live. And forget about the girl from Queens who was never supposed to be part of it. I could never forget you. Try. Diana walked out. This time she didn't cry until she was home. 2 years later. Diana stood in her corner office in London, watching rain streak the windows. Below, the Thames curved through the city like a grey ribbon. Behind her, the Sterling Hotel's UK headquarters hummed with controlled chaos. Her team, her vision, her empire, built from nothing but grit and heartbreak. Her assistant knocked. Miss Chen, your 4 o'clock is here. Send them in. Diana turned, expecting a vendor, a designer, someone with fabric swatches or architectural plans. Instead, Sebastian Torres walked through her door. He looked different, thinner, older. His hair touched his collar now. He wore jeans and a leather jacket instead of a suit. Dark circles shadowed his eyes. Hello, Diana. Her heart stopped. Started. Stopped again. What are you doing here? I needed to see you. You shouldn't be here. Her voice came out steadier than she felt. You're married. Victoria, I didn't marry her. The world tilted. What? Sebastian stepped closer. Diana held up a hand, stopping him. Don't. Just tell me what happened. He took a breath. After you left, I spent 3 days trying to figure out how to fix everything. How to save my father's company without losing you. Then I realized something. What? My father didn't build his company by playing it safe. He built it by taking risks, by betting on himself when no one else would, and I'd spent 10 years forgetting that. I'd become so obsessed with protecting what we had that I'd stopped fighting for what we could be. Diana's throat tightened. I told Victoria no. I let the investors walk. I restructured the entire company from the ground up. It was brutal. We lost contracts. We lost clients. My father barely spoke to me for 6 months. Sebastian, but I found new investors, smaller ones who believed in the work, not the connections. I pivoted the business model, took bigger risks, built something real instead of something impressive. He smiled. It was sad, proud. The company's actually doing better now. Leaner, stronger, more sustainable. That's wonderful, Diana whispered. I'm happy for you. Are you happy, Diana? The question hit like a bullet. She looked around her office. At the awards on the wall, the skyline view, The life she'd built from the ashes of her heart. I'm successful. That's not what I asked. Diana met his eyes. Why are you here, Sebastian? Because I'm a coward, he said quietly. Because it took me 2 years to get brave enough to walk away from everything I thought defined me. Because I spent 24 months trying to forget you and failing every single day. Because I love you. Still. Always. You can't just show up here after 2 years and expect. I don't expect anything. He pulled an envelope from his jacket, set it on her desk. That's the IRS documentation for your mother's medical bills. All filed correctly, backdated, legal. You're both clear. I should have done it 2 years ago. I'm sorry. Diana stared at the envelope. And this. He pulled out a second envelope. Is a plane ticket. New York. Tomorrow night. Open-ended return. Why would I need a plane ticket to New York? Because I'm opening an office there. A partnership with Preston and Associates. Margaret and I are combining resources. Building something new, and I want you to come home and run it with me. He paused. As my business partner. Or as more, or as nothing. Whatever you want. But Diana, I can't build something meaningful without you. I tried. It doesn't work. Diana's hands shook. You're asking me to give up London. Everything I've built here. I'm asking you to build something better. With me, as equals. Not because I'm rescuing you or you're saving me. But because we're better together than apart. Sebastian, I know I don't deserve a second chance. I know I chose wrong 2 years ago. I was terrified and stupid, and I let you walk away because I didn't know how to be brave. His voice cracked. But I'm here now, and I'm asking. Please, come home. Diana looked at the plane ticket. At Sebastian. At the life she'd built in London that suddenly felt like a beautiful prison. What if it doesn't work? She whispered. What if we try and fail and lose everything? Then we fail, together, and we build something else. But Diana, I'd rather fail with you than succeed with anyone else. She closed her eyes. Thought of her mother, healthy and happy in Queens. Thought of the girl she'd been 2 years ago, terrified and broke and desperate. Thought of the woman she'd become, powerful and successful and lonely. I have a team here, she said. Contracts, obligations. I know. I can't just leave. I know. It would take months to transition everything. I'll wait. Diana opened her eyes. Sebastian stood there, patient and hopeful and scared, exactly the way she felt. Why now? She asked. Why not 6 months ago? Or a year ago? Because 6 months ago I was still scared. A year ago I was still rebuilding. I wanted to come to you whole, fixed, someone worthy of you. But the truth is, Diana, I'll never be completely whole without you. And I finally understand that's okay. We're both damaged, both scared, but maybe we can be damaged and scared together. Diana walked around the desk, stopped in front of him, close enough to touch. If I do this, she said slowly, if I come back, we do this right. No shortcuts, no secrets. We start from the beginning. We date, we take our time, we build something real. Sebastian's face broke into a smile that looked like sunrise. Yes, absolutely, whatever you want. And if your father or Victoria or anyone from your old life has a problem with me, you stand up for me, every single time. No hesitation. Done. And you have to meet my mother properly. Come to Sunday dinners, eat her cooking and pretend it's good even when she oversalts everything. Sebastian laughed. It sounded like relief. I would love nothing more. Diana stepped closer, close enough to feel his heartbeat. And Sebastian, yes? If you ever let me walk away like that again, I will destroy you professionally and personally. I will outwork you, outthink you, and out-earn you until you're a footnote in the marketing world. Do you understand? Yes. Good. She kissed him. He wrapped his arms around her and pulled her close, and Diana felt something inside her chest crack open. Something that had been frozen for 2 years started to thaw. When they broke apart, both breathless, Sebastian touched her forehead with his. Come home, he whispered. Please come home. Diana thought about it. About London. About New York. About the girl from Queens and the boy, who'd loved her since they were children. About second chances and scary choices and building something real from the ruins of what had been. Okay, she said. Let's go home. 6 months later, Diana stood in the new Preston Torres office in Manhattan, watching her team finalize the campaign that would launch their partnership. Sebastian stood beside her, his hand warm in hers. "You ready?" he asked. She looked at him. "At the life they were building. Messy and imperfect and real?" "Yeah," Diana said. "I'm ready." They'd taken the long way around, made every mistake possible, broken each other's hearts and their own. But standing here, fingers intertwined, watching the sun set over the city that had almost destroyed them, Diana understood something essential. Love wasn't about perfect timing or easy choices. It wasn't about coming from the same world or having the same advantages. It was about choosing each other every day, despite the fear, despite the risk, despite everything that said it wouldn't work. And she and Sebastian, they were going to choose each other every single day for the rest of their lives. Diana squeezed his hand. Sebastian squeezed back. And for the first time in years, the future looked like something worth building. The end.